More broadly, I mean, what we do at EDO is understand how ads impact people's behavior. We call it outcome measurement. So like Nielsen measures audiences, we measure the behavioral changes from every ad across all of linear and streaming TV.
How do you do that?
We're looking at massive panels of people who are in a privacy safe way are being tracked through their day. We're also a huge consumer of Google's anonymous data that comes out through what they call Google Trends. And we're aggregating all of that together and looking at, as ads air across streaming and linear, how does it change people's behavior in the minutes or weeks following an ad appearing? And we're looking at that against the baseline levels of behavior that we see all the time for these thousands and thousands of brands that we're tracking continuously. And so when you see an ad on a Super Bowl or just any old programming, we can see the lift in these behaviors, like searching for the brand, going to the brand's website, using the brand's app. And why that's important is because it's a highly predictive set of behaviors that correlate nearly perfectly with changes in market share and sales. And it's something that hedge funds, I think, have been using for a long time. We brought it to media measurement.
So what does your predictive TV outcomes data show in terms of which advertiser really made an impact?
Well, it was a very interesting mix this year. I'd say thematically, you had two things going on. It's almost two economies and a reflection of that. You had a bunch of brands and products demonstrating their capabilities to impact people's lives, either through AI or through healthcare related products. You saw GLP-1 drugs. You saw battles being fought between very heated rivals in their various sectors, whether it was Anthropic's Claude and OpenAI's ChatGPT, or Novo Nordisk and their Wegovy offering, and Hims and Hers, which we've heard in the news today, and Ro and these other providers. A lot of diagnostic tests as well being promoted. And what we saw was that consumers, if you tell them about what it can do for you, or more importantly, if you take an edgy shot against your competitor, you could score points, more points, frankly, than we were seeing on the field. And so that was one theme. And then on the other hand, if you don't have something innovative, tech-driven, you need to lean on the classic tried and true techniques that work in Super Bowls over the last decade. You needed humor, you needed nostalgia, you needed celebrities. And we saw some of those work as well.
At $10 million for a 30-second spot, is this money well spent? Do these advertisers feel like they get an ROI here?
It's if anything, the Super Bowl, because it's the last place you can reach 100 million plus people who are heavily engaged in the ad breaks, it is underpriced, if anything.
Wow.
EDO's data shows that to get the same impact as a 30-second spot in last year's Super Bowl, you would have had to have bought over 1,000 primetime 30-second spots. That's a good deal when it's priced at 8 to 10 million per 30 seconds. You'd have to spend a lot more than that to try to accumulate that kind of reach and that kind of engagement. And you simply can't do it in digital. You couldn't buy enough YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram Reels to come anywhere close to that kind of impact in any kind of reasonable time frame.
Okay, so I'm a Gen X and you are Gen X as well. So I feel really seen because there are a lot of commercials targeted at me. Backstreet Boys came right at me. Ben Affleck kind of as a Matt Damon guy from Good Will Hunting, Jennifer Aniston, Jason Alexander, Ted Danson as Sam Malone. Like that was all speaking to me.
It was, and you're absolutely right. Move over boomers. We're now in the driver's seat of economic power, and marketers know that. And so the nostalgia was all about late 80s to early 2000s. Our sweet spot. And, you got some Gen Y and millennials coming into economic power as well. So catering to them
their
as well.
Parents for that, really.
Yeah, exactly. And so we saw Duncan with a really well executed idea, playing off of Good Will Hunting, but jamming in, I think, more celebrities and more very sharp, very funny references to the 90s than anything we've seen in 30, or in their case, it was 60 seconds, but it was jam-packed. It was a really impressive showing. It was in our top 5 in our rankings.
We see a lot of these big media companies spinning out their cable networks because that's a really challenged business with cord cutting and so on and so forth. Comcast has done it. Warner Brothers would like to do it. Disney should probably think about it. Where does that business go? I mean, we just come off a day where that's where the business was. It was big network television, and Yes, there's different. You can stream it on Peacock and so on. But where does the cable TV business that we all grew up with? Where does that go? Do you think?
You saw it last night. Live sports still drive this whole industry.
Yep.
The entire industrial complex of subscription and advertising supported television, whether it's streamed or delivered over the air, that's all about the big events, and those drive the economics. That said, people are creatures of habit, and so between those big live events, there's a lot of habitual viewing, a lot of turn the channel on and leave it on. And so cable still will have a strong place in this economic environment, this ecosystem. But yes, you're going to see, I think, more of the dollars and more of the returns concentrate on the biggest live events. And so you're seeing the cable networks and their owners move to lower cost models to make sure that they still can maintain that high profit margin that they got used to in the heyday.